Hi everyone, this is Cindy of Create the Heart, and today I'm going to be sharing a Disney cartridge card from Frozen, and I'm also going to be linking to my most popular video ever on my YouTube channel, and that's my Disney Cricut tips. I think I did this, I want to say like 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, and I used all those tips today to make my Cricut cut work. So I know that there are ways supposedly to do intricate cuts. I don't know if I'm just using the wrong setting, but the problem with Disney is there's lots of little pieces and it just doesn't cut cleanly. So one of the things that I didn't do, which I don't know is in my tips or not, and that is to use thinner cardstock. So if you use Stampin' Up! Cardstock, which I did, you're going to get rough cuts. It's just too thick. And I think just the grain of it or whatever, it doesn't cut really well in my machine, at least for me. It never has. So keep that in mind. If you want to get clean cuts, you're better off using a thinner cardstock because it's just going to cut cleaner for you. But I've used all the other tips and I'll go over those. So today I'm doing a 6x6 card. Okay. So the thing about Cricut cuts is that you want to use the biggest size that you possibly can get away with when you're doing your cuts, because if you cut them too small, it's just not going to work really well for you. And I was looking for my tape. It's just not going to work well for you. And so I want you guys to think about that. I'm going to have to use some score tape. Oh, is this the tape? No. Can't find my tape. So weird. All right. So I'm starting off with the 6x6 card base, white card base. So 12x12 cut in half and then folded over. And then this is a sheet of paper that I had saved from my Echo Park winter series. And so I am just going to be being very stingy with this tape. I usually have some tape out here and my ATG is not loaded. I was also struggling with my ATG, so I mean, until I get that squared away. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tape because it's score tape. It'll hold really well. I don't have to worry about it. I could use glue. I have glue out here. Well, I really don't like to use glue, but I could. So you want to make it as big as possible. So today I'm doing a 6x6 card, but even if I want to do an A2 size card, I would make sure that the size was as big as possible because that will give you a little bit bigger pieces to work with. And some of the pieces are just impossible to work with. Okay, so here is my cut. Okay, here she is. And so this is what I did to kind of help her out. So one is you can use a lot of stickles. So stickles hides a lot of imperfections. So I did use stickles on here because I had a lot of rough cuts. And so I did use stickles. Actually, this wasn't a bad. I just wanted to put stickles on it to look like, glistening snow. But this was a really rough cut. So I just covered that in this stickles, which is turquoise stickles. Very pretty. So I did that, and then her hair was kind of not too attractive, so I covered that all in diamond stickles. And what's nice about that, though, is it gives that illusion of kind of a snow queen kind of look. And so those are some of the things that I did to kind of beautify my cut. The other thing is I had to color in her eyes because if you can see, actually she looks kind of crazy. I don't know if it's going to focus or not. There it is. So the eyes, imagine those cutting. It's impossible. They're not going to cut very well at all. It's just not going to. So it's impossible. You can't. Basically, they're just little tiny drops of paper. They just look like little mistakes on your mat. And so it's just not going to work. So that's what I mean about small cuts. Can you imagine if I had cut this smaller, they wouldn't have cut at all. I mean, the face probably wouldn't have even cut very well. So that's the thing about, and I wish that they had designed these cartridges, the Disney ones, like they do the Hello Kitty, the Create a Critter, where you just layer the pieces on there. And I know that you use full sheets of paper when you do that, but you get nice clean cuts when you're just layering the pieces. Teddy Bear Parade. Hello Kitty is a really prime example of some good layering. But yeah, these other ones, they're really hard to cut. Everything is really, really tiny. So you have to be creative to kind of make it work for you. And now I thought about drawing it and then cutting all the pieces. So that might be something that I do try, where I color in, or where I do it on white and I draw her with a pen, or, any Disney image with a pen, and then cut out the layers and layer it that way. So that's something I'm thinking about trying. So the other thing that I did was I used a Martha Stewart punch, and all I did was cut out 3 of these snowflakes, and then I layered it with some a sequin snowflake on top. Then I had my sash. I think it's Lawn Fawn. So I do 3, and they look really pretty, actually. So one there. I think 1 here. Okay, so this is Unleash Your Inner. Now this is from this sparkle stamp set from My Favorite Things. And I opted not to do the stamp with it. Instead, I did a die that I have, which I really like. The die. The die is from the Greeting Farm. And so some of the tools that I use, I know a lot of people use the tweezers, but I struggle with those tweezers. I don't really know how to make them work. The other thing is the Zig 2-way glue pen, the pointed one. This is my very, very favorite. I use this on all kinds of projects though, but I use this for all my die cuts. I love it because you can get a little bit of glue in these little spots where you need to get glue. I've also used the Xyron sticker maker. That's also a good one to use to get your adhesive on some of the small pieces, because it's easy to tear. It really, really is. So here is my card, and I really like how it came out too. So here's my card. It is Unleash Your Inner Sparkle. Isn't that cute? So I love this, and this is like a card I probably wouldn't mail because it would cost, more. I'd have to figure out how much it costs for a 6x6, but this is a card that I would give at, say, a birthday party, one of my nieces, probably the little baby niece who's 4, who looks like a little snow queen. I probably would, give this card to a person versus mailing it, just because of the expense of mailing it and not being able to just stick a stamp on it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to watch my Disney Cricut tips. If, it's an oldie but goodie, but it has lots of tips, and I have a ton of Disney Cricut videos that I have done, all different ones. So I am going to link to that as well somewhere. It should either be in the video itself and or in my description box. So be sure to watch those, because they do have a lot of good tips, and I haven't done Disney different Disney besides Mickey and Minnie in a while. And there's a lot of videos in there that are like Alice in Wonderland, Captain Hook. I think I've got Monsters Inc. So a lot of good things in there with a lot of tips on how to cut Disney, because they can be a pain in the butt. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is Cindy with Create the Heart.